G'day guys, ahead of International Men's Day, we have Julian Pace on the show this week from Happiness Co. Some of the things we talk about today are heavy in nature, but that is the point. We're trying to use our platform this week to talk about some topics, especially for men, that are difficult to talk about. In the end, that's what we do here at BackChat. We talk about things, and this week it's a little bit heavier than usual. So if you do need additional resources, please look in the show notes, either as a podcast or on YouTube. But I'd implore you to listen to this one. It is a deep and meaningful chat between me and Jules about a range of topics close to my heart. Thank you. I think it's a story worth listening to.
I was just picking self-punishment.
First time I'd just played footy with my mates and had fun for 15 years.
So I actually didn't want to die. I just wanted the pain to go away.
For me, it's like, okay, cool. What can we do about it?
The things that really helped me in life was understanding what actually creates happiness.
I haven't quite got to speaking too much about that.
Pain is real and suffering's a choice.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, look, you may be wondering which international sporting team does this man play for? I haven't seen him on the international world stage. Well, no, you haven't. This is a little, I won't say a break from normal programming, but it is a little detour, I think an important one. And it was probably born a little bit off me as the guest about 4 weeks ago, chatting about some mental challenges, but positive things as well. And I thought, how can we, ahead of International Men's Day, November 19th, how can we have some chats that dive into the mental realms a little bit? And my good friend Julian Pace joins me to do just that. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Good to see you. A bit of a shame I wasn't an international sports star, but I'm grateful to be here.
Well, that is good, but we do need to cover one thing off. The first question that I ask every guest that sits in your chair, right? It's the same question every time.
Yeah.
So even though you may or may not be an international sports star, I want to know your greatest sporting achievement. Now, usually, you're a footy player, you're a cricketer, you're a soccer player, and I'll say, you can't give me in your chosen sport. But because you weren't a professional athlete, I'll give you any greatest sporting achievement. And I've seen you out in the footy field, so I don't know if it's going to be in the realms of footy. Half a decent football player.
Yeah,
we've played against each other, actually.
We have, and I butchered the last two kicks of the game.
I was lipping you off as well, wasn't I?
I know, I heard on the podcast. Mate, that would have been a great finish to the whole event, just to kick the winning goal of your own charity football match.
Like I've said to lots of my teammates and people I've played against, woulda, shoulda, coulda. Mate, I want to know your greatest sporting achievement, and it can be back to under nines when I was state champion in the flags for Jan Juck Nippers. It could be under 10s national state hurdling champion, as I was.
Yeah.
What do you got for me? Greatest sporting achievement, Julian Pace.
Well, I think the biggest one I can kind of reflect on, I remember vividly in my life, is athletics.
Good.
When I was young.
Like it.
Just super quick, really fast. But it wasn't for that. It was actually for power walking. I became first. I got a gold in little athletics for power walking. And it was just that little moment in my life that, hey, you know what? I got something. And it was for walking really fast.
That is incredible.
So
Nathan Deeks do you know who Nathan Deeks is?
No, I don't.
You didn't have like idols in the walking realm? Mate, Nathan Deeks was an Olympic medalist for Australia as a walker.
And killed it.
Yeah. So we're talking the lock the knees out.
Yeah, like full
wobble the hips
going and like the full waddle. And I was looking good, felt good, won it. And I'm like, looking back on my life, that's a pretty great achievement, I reckon.
Mate,
in sport.
Mate, that is, I can tell you, what I give you special marks for is uniqueness, and that is as unique as it gets, so well done.
I was going to give you some footy stories, but
no.
That's spot on.
We can work that in a bit. So, again, people are thinking, okay, who's Julian Pace? What's he doing here? Let's explore that a little bit. Tell me, we might go right back to the beginning, but what are you doing with yourself now? What's your journey led to? What are you now?
Yeah, so I guess what's relevant to this particular conversation is the CEO and founder of the Happiness Co and the Happiness Co Foundation, which is a preemptive mental health movement across Australia. It's only been going for 6 years and it's had incredible growth. So that's kind of taken most of my time, just putting effort and a lot of energy into trying to help people grow and learn and deal with life that can be somewhat really challenging. And I know you've personally had a heap of battles, and trying to allow people not to go through these challenges alone. And normalize it and break down the stigma, but also not just raise awareness, but also raise hope and to be able to give people a sense of that, you know what, you might be all busted up and maybe things aren't going your way, but you still get a chance to turn it all around. I think there's so much you talk about sport, the resilience and the mindset that you have to be an athlete. There's so many things that you can take away from that to be a really good person.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been my jam. It started with just me in my apartment by myself, mate. And now we've got just under 30 people working for us doing amazing things, which is kind of incredible just in itself.
So I think we'll come full circle, but sort of going back to the beginning and a little bit why, I'm really keen to do it. Look, I've, through elite sport, a lot of people listen to this podcast have heard my ups and downs. Some haven't, and we might get into that today, but what I've really found both in a team environment, in a footy club with men, right? Conversations are, one, the most important thing, but two, probably the hardest for blokes our age, right? And so I think doing something like this, having a chat, we have no plan whatsoever. We're talking about before we turn the mics on. There's no run sheet here. I just thought it'd be a good opportunity to get through some stuff. So, I know you want to ask me some questions, but I'm not going to let you do that because this is my podcast to start with anyway.
I'll get something.
Yeah, that's all right. I want to go back to the start with you. What's life like growing up for Julian Pace?
Yeah, mate. Had the ups and downs. Had a split family when I was young. So my parents divorced when I was 5. Always difficult as a young boy trying to work that out, as you can imagine. Did something you did. Don't love you anymore. Why are you now with parents different times of the week? And that was challenging. And then growing up with like severe dyslexia. So
really?
I dropped out of school when I was in year 8. So that was my highest level of education.
Is that numbers and
numbers and reading? Couldn't read words on a piece of paper and then couldn't write them back down on a piece of paper. So when I was at school, when I was at school, it was like, if you can't do these things, you can't be this person. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
You got to get these grades to be able to achieve these types of things. And so pretty young in life, man, I kind of worked out I was going to be a bit of a nobody in terms of achievement and things because there was like a benchmark of all the things that people around me could do. So then I dropped out of school at 13 and my first job was a garden bin disposal guy.
So you just stopped going to school?
Literally. I hated it because I got bullied, I got picked on, my brother and sister could read, my mum and dad could read, all my schoolmates could read. And I just felt like a complete idiot and a twat. And I just like, what was the point? And it was just making me miserable. And, my mum, I could see the stress it was causing my mum. And, I guess she was like, well, school's not working for him and it's making him miserable. So maybe he'll be happier doing something else. And funny enough, I was actually happier being a garden bin disposal guy because no one teased me, no one picked on me, no one bullied me. And it was the first time in my life I was actually good at something. And I know that sounds crazy because the technical finesse to getting someone's garbage bags on the back of their house doesn't seem that complicated. But I got a paycheck every week for it. It made me feel good because I had some money in my bank account, right?
Did you played footy as a kid? Because like I said, we played in, I'm going to get the name wrong, but we played a charity game.
Yeah, AFL All-Stars, yeah.
Started this year or started last year?
Yeah, Feb this year.
Mate, it was a brilliant experience.
Cracker.
And again, I'm very honest and I just say what I think. I remember thinking, this is going to be shit. This is going to be so shit. I'm going to have no fun. I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I had one of the funnest experiences I had playing footy, literally of all time.
That's good.
Playing footy as an elite athlete at a lot of times isn't fun. You're not doing it for fun. It's a job. It's high pressure, a lot on the line. This one, there was pride on the line. That's about it. Yeah. But it was playing with mates. It was the first time I'd just played footy with my mates and had fun for 15 years. And back to you, mate, you can play a bit. So you must have been playing footy as a kid as well.
Yeah, you did all right too.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, you did pretty good.
I've got the runs on the board though.
You do. No, I played footy, Maddington Football Club when I was young. That's where I grew up. Dennis Cometti also played footy at Maddington Footy Club. So just so you know.
Great, Dennis.
Yeah, great Dennis. And then became half decent at it. Then went to Perth, played Colts, played with Buddy Franklin at Colts, which is an experience.
So could you say that maybe you taught Buddy everything he knows?
Well, one thing I remember training used to piss everyone off because when you finish the drill and he would kick the ball and he'd be running back to the line, he'd just cut the line and go again. So he probably touched the footy 3 times as much as anyone else on the footy field, right?
That's interesting.
So that's something he used to do and piss people off at the time because you'd be next to go, he'd just run in front of him and take the ball. But anyway, that's why it was good. Perth and then played at Maddington, Wesley Curtin, Played at East Fremantle for a while with Shane Woden was my coach.
Was he?
He was a legend. So I wasn't very good, but
half decent. You're playing for East Fremantle.
Yeah, just more athletic ability, right? So very fast, could run all day. That was kind of my one wood.
Did you find like a footy club like that more accepting than school?
Absolutely, yeah. I think for me, it's probably different chapters in football for me and what was relevant at the time. So when growing up at Maddington Footy Club, just being around your mates having fun, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
I saw that a lot. And then later on in my life, as I started to progress and, East Fremantle was a lot of pressure. It wasn't even a professional job, but, training 3 times a week, playing on Saturday, rehab on Saturday. And I felt like it just took a lot of the fun out of what you were doing. But also I was going through a really different time in my life. Like the football for me when I was kind of 21, 22, probably saved my life because there was a structure. But when I was young, it was something that brought me so much joy and hope for, possibility for what life could still be and like friendship. Because I think with sport, you're looked at differently in terms of academics.
Yeah, well, no one really cares.
No one cares how good you are on the math sheet or if you can read or write because it doesn't really come up.
No.
Yeah, it kind of all your shame is kind of hidden away because no one's asking about it.
Yeah, so that's the good thing about footy clubs. There's some stuff that isn't good, but I would say overall, sporting clubs are brilliant places to develop, to form connections with people. It's like for me anyway. Like I moved from Victoria as a 17-year-old, and so I moved into a football club. Like that was my family.
That was your life,
right? Yeah, it was my life. But
and before 17, you're obviously still in footy.
Yeah, footy. Yep, absolutely. And like sport for me, like was just a massive people thing, right? Yeah. Like sport is just people. So it was just like it's interesting, so school. But if you to drop out as a year 8, and then what are you like? You're effectively like a young adult at 14, 15. Working and
that's
no
it.
School.
Yeah, that's it. After that, I was a lifeguard at a local pool, which is like the Belmont Oasis. Remember that? You ever go there? No, it's like a pool in Belmont.
Sounds brilliant.
Yeah, but I was all day long. I just walk around the pool for like 7.5 hours, watching people do laps.
Yes.
And that was just bored the shit out of me.
Oh yeah, there's not many rescues going on at the Belmont Oasis.
There's literally nothing. I'm like, someone drown. Give me something, right? Yeah. And sometimes a few attractive chicks came in, so they gave me, 45 minutes of something to kind of feel like I was Baywatch doing,
16-year-old Julian.
Strutting around the pool doing my power walk we were talking about. But yeah, mate, life can be complex. But yeah, sport absolutely, I think, brings people together, makes people feel less alone. And that whole concept of many hands make light work. And I think you can be more vulnerable in footy clubs if you have the right mates and the right mentorship too.
Yeah.
And it can be hard because, as I mentioned before, East Fremantle was difficult for me because I wasn't talking to anyone because I was really broken at the time. But what I do remember distinctly about it was that 2 hours a day on the Saturday was the best 2 hours of my week.
Why?
Escapism. Because all you're thinking about is the ball and your mates, right? And winning or losing or whatever it looks like to you. And are you playing a good game? And I remember every time the siren would go at 3/4 time, I would actually start to dread it because I knew that we only had half an hour left. So I had to go back to the life I hated. So it gave me 2 hours of being good at something. Like when you suck at everything and you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't like what's looking back at you. And for 2 hours you're good at something and people respect you for it. That's all you get. And knowing that was going to disappear, it's like when the siren went while you won a game and everyone's jumping around and having a great time, I'll be thinking, I wonder what the next 24 hours looks like and how miserable it's going to be. And that's why footy's such a good, powerful place if you can get it right.
Right. So I know a little bit about your story. There's some grief and loss associated with what you're speaking about at that age. You speak a bit about that and how that, how you built up to that. I didn't know about school and, what you would have been growing up to that, but loss and how you dealt with that.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like on reflection it was, I don't know, amazing.
No, it wasn't. I think that school dropout thing was why that loss was quite significant. It's the person I'm about to talk about now that would give some context to why I've kind of devoted my life to this space and trying to help people through it is because of my dad. So he was a really encouraging person for me when I dropped out of school. He was very big on, don't spend all your life, son, trying to be an A-grade student. Spend more time trying to be an A-grade person. So he was really big on the philosophy and being good and being kind and being decent and being loving. And that was like a bit of a superpower for people. Like he was a bit of an entrepreneur and he reckoned how you treated people was a really amazing quality. So he really tried to enforce that on me about, yeah, I know you can't read well, but you still can be a good person. It doesn't change that. How you treat people and open the door for a stranger doesn't change that. So he was really good young. And then, yeah, sadly on my 21st birthday, I lost him to suicide. And, you know, waking up on your birthday thinking it's going to be an amazing day with all the great things that would come from your 21st. And I had my big birthday party that weekend when everyone was coming, all my mates, all my family. I remember the presents and the cards on the table. I still remember the moment vividly because it was like such a high and a massive plummet so quickly. And then it's like someone comes into your life and switches off the light. That was the best way I could have described it. And then from there, I just crumbled under it. And then at most of my young 20s, I just kind of hated the journey, hated my life, hated the person looking back at me in the mirror. And that's why I've, again, spent so much time trying to, I guess, help other people get through tough times and challenges because they can shape you. And often they can shape you for the worst, but there is some opportunities to shape you for the better.
I texted you before this and said we could get deep, and we might not either. But I'll ask you some questions. If you don't want to answer them, you can. But did you, on reflection, did you feel like it was your fault, or at the time, how do you reflect on? I know it's probably a jolt in terms of a sudden thing to happen like that. I lost my old man heart attack when I was 21, probably quite similar to you. And I've got my own reflections on that. Yeah. But did you feel like you had something to do with it? Did you blame yourself, or was it I just want life to change and something else?
Well, it's probably two parts. So you probably experienced this as well. Like a sudden death at any level, I think that not being able to say goodbye. How difficult was that to you? Not like you didn't get one more goodbye, one more hug, one more I love you. That you would have went through the exact same thing. Yeah. How proud of you I am. And the only thing I find slightly different with death through illness and then death through a freak accident and then death through suicide is that there's probably one thing that I thought about the most is I'm so sorry that whatever he was going through, that he went through it alone. That was the thing that kept me up at night. Not knowing what he was feeling, and he must have been so sad. And, the studies would show this, and it's something I've thought about a lot over the years, that most people who attempt to take their own lives and don't succeed in it say somewhat the same thing. So the people who survive the attempt say, I actually didn't want to die. I just wanted the pain to go away. If you think about how powerful that is, people who want to or are contemplating ending their life are just trying to get out of pain. It's not because they don't want to see their kids anymore. Because that's the other thing he had 3 kids. Yeah. How do you leave your 3 kids? I've got 2 kids. You got 2. Yep. Trying to contemplate leaving your kids right now. How hard would that be for you? Yeah. I'd never consider it.
Probably impossible, right?
Until you do. Until something happens that knocks Will Schofield off course. Compounding unhappiness. One poor choice after one poor choice after one poor choice. Maybe one day you do consider it. And that's the thing about people, because we often think it will never happen to the ones closest to us. So yeah. And the blaming thing was the shame, because when I was growing up, and maybe you as well, what was the stigma around suicide when you were young? How old are you now?
Mate, I am 35.
So we're the same age. I'm 37, you're 35. What would be the stigma 15 years ago around suicide for you?
Well, my under-16 footy captain committed suicide so that was my sort of probably first and only real close association.
First experience with it?
Yeah, so I was 15 and I remember Jules Zoromsky. Remember, we were at school and a bunch of the guys, we all played footy together, and it's like, Jules has committed suicide. And my reflections on it were a lot of why, really. Yeah, to be honest. And so that for me is probably the hard one. Is you don't get those answers, really, even if, whatever the situation is with that side. But to sort of talk about, further loss, so old man heart attack, I kind of know why that happened. He was a pack-a-day smoker for until the day I was born, and then he stopped smoking. And then the day I was drafted to West Coast, apparently he was seen driving home from the airport with the dart in his mouth. Right, so I kind of know
celebration
how that happens. Yeah. Exactly right. But you don't like you say, you don't get the say goodbye or anything. Best mate killed in a bike accident in 2018, started 2018. I've spoken about him a lot on this podcast, Andy MacArthur. Don't get the why or like so that's probably like how I reflect on that stuff.
Yeah, and like I think unanswered questions can be difficult because I've worked with hundreds of thousands of people now, man, in a very short period of time. And you realize that people are quite similar in the way they deal with pain. There's like nearly 2 avenues. So pain changes the way you see people, changes the way you see life, changes the way you see yourself. Like, have you ever met a person with trust issues before?
Trust?
Yeah, trust issues?
Sure.
Yeah. How do you get trust issues? You weren't born with them. Like, where was the first time someone broke your trust? And that's the first time in your life you would have had one. You let me down, you lied to me, you broke your promise. You remember a time that was vivid to you, like a young kid growing up, when someone taught you that being dishonest hurts?
Probably. I don't have anything off the top of my head.
But powerful, right?
Sure.
So that pain that we experience kind of leads people to 2 things: self-correction or self-punishment.
Right.
I reckon most men self-punish.
So what happened to you?
Yeah, drugs, alcohol.
Yep.
Hurt people. I hurt every person who loved me deeply by pushing them away, number one, and then treating them poorly. And it's really hard to love someone who becomes hard to love.
Yeah, it's like it's a circle of, well, I don't want to say circle of death, but it is. It's just a constant, act like a dickhead, make bad decision, people shift away, act like a dickhead.
Literally, it's like self-sabotage, right? And that's what I was absolutely trying. I didn't know it at the time. But I think a lot of people like listening to this today would recognize that. Hard to love someone who's hard to love. Doesn't matter how great you once were, as Will Schofield, as a husband, as a parent, as a man. If you stop doing the things that made you that person and you neglect all the things that make yourself great and hold yourself to a high standard, they fade away. So you can be very, very good at what you do and really bad at who you are. And that's probably how I would look at most people. Trying to be very good at what they do.
Yeah.
Their job, parenting, husband, wife, the roles they play. But often they're not very good at who they are. Self-talk. They make a mistake in the morning. They beat themselves up all day long. Like, are you when you think about self-correction, self-punishment, do you identify your journey with either one of them too?
Oh, highly critical. And I would say that is how you succeed as an elite athlete. You have immediate feedback systems in you that's bigger and better than anyone. Yeah. Because that's how you correct. Yeah. As an athlete. Yeah. You can't wait around for 2 weeks until a meeting. Like in business, I'm gonna have a team meeting in 2 weeks. Like you make a mistake and in 0.5 of a second you have to get it right.
And move on relatively quickly.
Oh yeah, instantly. Yeah. Right. And so that interestingly, like you would have spoken to a lot of sports, but like I think that's really common across sport. And it probably goes through people too. But that kind of mindset, when you get out of that environment where, not everywhere requires that. Yeah. Business doesn't require it. Family certainly doesn't require it. The instant, hey, why did you fuck that up? Like, fix it. Yeah. That in a footy club is, and especially at elite level, that's high, you need to do it. If you don't, you don't last. No. But you go home, can't act like that. And it's difficult. Like to differentiate, and that's just family, right? It's business. There's lots of other like hats you have to wear.
When there's like a role of people wanting to be heard around you too, like your partner, wants to unpack it with you. Yeah, wants to explore where it came from and how you're feeling and why you're thinking that way. It's so much more complex when you have to involve other people in your mistakes or your successes. Yes.
So it sounds like you were in a dark place, deep dark place, and for reasons that we've talked about. Do you know how you got out of it?
Yeah, there's a few things. So darkness looked to me like 3 things that were obvious and clear to me looking back. Shame, one of them. Like shame can buckle you. So shame lives in your shadows. Think about shame. Why don't their mates go out with their mates on the weekend and say, I'm having an affair. I'm gambling all my money. I'm a druggie. I'm an alcoholic. I watch porn 24/7. Like these aren't the conversations that are happening at dinner tables with mates or friends and family because they have high levels of shame, shame was that I felt that a lot. Like I let him down, let myself down, let my family down. So living in the shadows a lot. And then number 2, I recognized was despair and hopelessness. Like just never thinking it was going to get better. And then the hopelessness of like, what's the point? And the thing about hopelessness, that's really powerful if you know it, is that it becomes learnt hopelessness. You actually talk yourself out of even trying before you even have a crack.
Another circle of death race.
You know, like think about an easy example of asking a bunch of girls out and they all say no. Yeah, 10th girl you've asked out, she says no. You're like, no one's going to say yes. So what do you stop doing?
Asking.
You stop asking, and that's the thing. And you stop living.
And then no one's going to say yes because you're not asking. You can't get yes from.
But then you're angry at yourself because the reason I never ask because no one says yes, and then you stop yourself from actually finding opportunities. So that was a big cycle of my life. Like, what was even the point? Because nothing was coming anyway. But it was probably a significant moment that really like challenged me. Like wanting to take my own life and starting to plan that out.
I was going to ask that. Was that where you got to?
Yeah. And another crazy stat about suicide is that if you lose a parent to suicide, 85% more likely you have a high chance of ending your own life if you lose a mum or dad to suicide.
Right.
So I didn't know that at the time either. Obviously in my work now I do, but just maybe getting to spend some more time with him if that was a thing. Like I'm not a spiritual or religious person, but like, if I could hang out with my best mate. Because when you have no mates left, then you feel like your life's over, and you have this person that you put on a pedestal your whole life. Maybe you get a bit closer to him if you kind of ended it. But I also recognize what I said before. I just wanted the pain to go away. So that was one big moment, like just the constant conversation about how I was going to end it, where I was going to end it, how I was going to do it. Wanting to make it look like a mistake, like an accident.
Right.
So, car, bus. Something that my mum wouldn't think that I was in that much pain that I left. I didn't want her to experience the same thing. So I was very conscious of that. So why I was really broken, I was really conscious of my mum and making sure that she didn't feel the same way that my dad made me feel when he left. Right. Which is why were you so heartbroken and didn't talk to me? I would have done anything for you. And then just not being able to control and manage my emotions and my anger. So lots of people who experience anger, it comes from a lot of hurt. Were you an angry man growing up? Recognize anger a lot in your life?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think like it'll get explained away by white line fever. Yeah. Footy field.
Yeah.
I think like overall I'm not an angry person, but I have anger.
Yeah, sometimes it builds up, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because anger comes in many shapes and sizes, but my anger was coming from deep levels of hurt and not being able to express it and find a way to heal it. So there was one night, I guess my mum had tried everything to help me. And then she tried a brand new tactic that she's clearly, imagine a mum trying to help her son. Like she would often say to me, I'm so scared you're going to go out tonight and not come home.
Right.
That was her constant battle for me for like 4 years. And then she tried a new tactic, which is, it seemed like she was patronizing me at the time, and I'm pretty sure she was. And she's like, hey, you've got a pretty tough life. I don't know how you've got through it. Like, you lost your dad. Like I don't think many people have gone through much harder things than you have. Like she was really like pressing me like, poor me, which was the card I was playing every day, by the way.
Yeah.
I was absolutely a victim of my own life.
Yeah.
I blamed everybody. I justified my poor behavior. I complained about everything. But then she started calling me on it. And then I got so angry at her, I threw something across the wall and it smashed, and I jumped in the car and I was so angry and I was furious and I was so angry. I just started yelling at her, and I was in the car and I remember being at the stop sign and I was like shaking the wheel, but it was like a bit of an epiphany. It was like I was so angry at her, but then I kind of realized I was so angry at myself. That I had allowed myself to get to a stage when I would yell at my mum, I would throw something, and all she's ever been is loving, kind, caring, supportive. And that was a real turning point for me, and didn't allow my life to get better. It just allowed me to start seeking support. And one of the big things I started to talk to my mum about was about what actually happened, which is the reason why I suffered for so long. Because before my dad died, me and him had an argument, and he had been acting not great. He had been acting poorly. And he asked me on the telephone, because I was so angry at him, he asked me if I still loved him. And I said no. So I was so angry at him. And then he asked me if I still believed in him. And I said no, and I hung up on him. That was the last thing I ever said. But my brother, my sister, my mum, my friends, my family, most of them didn't know about that moment. And then when I actually started to unpack that moment, for a long time in my life, I couldn't explain that to people because I felt so shamed about it. Because that's why I blamed myself for a long time. And then when I talked to my mum and started to unpack it, you realize it's not your fault. And you start seeking help and support, and you start to try and rebuild your life. And I made many mistakes from that point on. but it was a starting point. That make sense?
Yeah, I just think it's a really not interesting. I think it's a story worth listening to, because people might be listening or watching, and you might not have got to where you got to, but like I'm listening to you and thinking about my own experiences, which I know you're big on with sort of learned experiences, like things that have happened to you. And I think that what it automatically does, hearing you talk about what you've gone through, it makes people think about their own stuff. So just hearing about with the old man, I've never told this to anyone. Yeah. And here you go. I'll chuck it out in the fucking world. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
My last chat with Dad, no one knows this. And I don't think I've ever really thought about it. I haven't been carrying around with guilt, but I know what it is. So maybe it has been guilt.
There you go.
So he came over for about 2 weeks, came over here. We did a reno in a house together.
Yep.
Spent every day. It was a little bit, fateful. Like we'd never spent more time together. Went out to dinner every night. Towards the end of the trip, we were having conversations around, him as a kid and him as, I'd never spoken to Dad about this stuff ever. And we did all that. Then, looking back on it, the second last day he was in the house and he had a fall, fell down the stairs, and he was only 62. He was fit enough, and probably turns out he'd had a mini heart attack, right? And he knocked himself out. I come back and he was sitting on the couch and he was wrecked, fucking smashed his eye open, blood everywhere. He's sitting there. I'm like, what's happened, mate? And he was like, you can't tell Mum, you can't tell anyone, right? And he clearly like collapsed somewhere. Goes back, flies back that night or the night after, and died that night when he got home. But the last chat I had to him, I was sitting upstairs in one of the second bedrooms, and I was talking to him on the phone. And I was lying on the ground looking up, and we'd been painting these houses, right? There's no furniture in the house.
Yeah.
And the painting hadn't been finished, and it was his job. And I remember lying on the ground, and I was like, the last conversation I had with him, I was like, "Why the fuck isn't the room finished? Why haven't you finished the painting?" And he was like, "Mate, I've literally painted for like 6 days straight, and you're gonna have to do it yourself." Like, I didn't finish it, and I was filthy. I was like angry. I was like, "Can't fucking believe you didn't finish the third bedroom." And I was angry, and I was like, "Mate, I'll speak to you tomorrow."
Yeah,
that's it. Last time I talked to him.
Have you thought about that moment much other than just talk about it now?
Not really.
Yeah.
No, I haven't carried that with thing, but it was just interesting hearing you speak about it. Instantly came to my mind. I was like, I remember that moment.
Yeah. I think lots of people could probably reflect on that, because that's what you mentioned about like lived experience. When I talk about my dad, you think about your dad.
Yeah.
I talk about my mum, you think about your mum. That's why lived experience speaking actually has not much to do with the person talking about their own trauma. It has everything how you put yourself in the own driver seat of your own trauma.
Mm.
And that's why it's so powerful, because it's less intrusive.
It's a bit of a gateway, right?
It is, because like me being vulnerable with you and you being vulnerable to all these people listening, maybe it creates an opportunity for them to talk to someone without having to disclose. Maybe they feel something that like, I want to talk about that. I want to seek some help. Maybe if it helps them find a bit of courage without having to find it in the first place, by you just being vulnerable yourself.
So you're talking about turning point.
Yeah.
Did you feel? It sounds like your mum had a big impact in turning your mental state around, or how you thought about yourself, or whatever it was. Was there others? Was there professionals, or was it just former mates if you'd lost them along the way, or was it family? Like, was it your mum?
Yeah, mates and friends. I definitely had a village and a tribe of people, and there's definitely were people that didn't want to be in my tribe anymore. And in life, you get what you tolerate. That's for sure. So if you treat people poorly and they put up with it, then, and I was treating people poorly and I was treating myself poorly, and whatever in life you put up with, you tolerate. So people had stopped tolerating me, and that's fair. And some people still, and to this point in my life now, still don't want to talk to me. And that just shows the level of impact that you can have on people's lives when you treat them poorly.
Yes.
And you break their hearts and you mistreat them, regardless of the circumstances that led you to it.
Yeah.
You don't get do-overs. You wish you could. You wish you could go back and change some of the things that you did. And there's still, I don't hold on to many things anymore, but there's still elements of regret. And I wish that I handled things better. And I dealt with things better. And that's coming from someone who's done a lot of work with thousands and thousands of people, built an organization that helps people purely.
Yeah.
And I still feel moments of regret. And I wonder how many times, because do you know how people are like, oh, you shouldn't hold on to things that, don't regret things. You only live once.
Yes.
I think that's so much easier said than done.
That's a really interesting point. Now, knowing what you do now and knowing where your life's at now, I was wanting to ask and thinking, do sometimes you feel, not that you're like another person, but like, the conversations that we have and hey, go and talk to someone or, just get on your chest or be vulnerable or whatever you're talking about doing. Does it sometimes, do you find it easy or hard to think, hey, when I was in a bad spot, if someone had been sitting chatting on a podcast like this, you would have been like, just shut, like, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Like, is it difficult for you now, knowing that you're in a better space right now than where you were? Is it difficult to kind of put yourself into either or where are you at with that?
It's hard to, great question. I think you could probably reflect on your own life as well. Like, you're only willing to hear what you want to hear at certain times in your life, aren't you? And sometimes there's a moment of impact that allows you to hear things differently, which probably was my mum. I don't know if I was 23 or 24 and if people have told me about the stuff that we talk about now have helped or not.
Yeah, correct, right? That's what I mean.
Like,
what you're doing now, like, would that have helped Julian Pace?
Yeah. Because I did try some things that, and I think why Happiness Co has been quite successful because it does a lot of things differently. But traditionally, if you think about the traditional means of support, I did try. And I did go to therapy. And I remember it like it was yesterday and how bad it was. Because I was having my first conversation with my therapist and I told him what happened and I told him me and my dad had a fight and I was pretty vulnerable about it. And I said, I've been using drugs and alcohol. My life is all over the show and I don't know how to fix it. And he just opened his top drawer and he wrote me a script for antidepressants. And I will always reflect on that moment. I didn't have depression. I had a broken heart. And they are very different, man.
Yeah.
How you heal a broken heart is very different to how you manage clinical depression. One was forced by an experience that I went through that I could not find a way in my life to reconcile. And depression comes in many different shapes and sizes. So I did try some things, but I gave up on them too. I wanted to be better and I wanted to be happier. But you know what? $150 an hour for a therapist or $150 on drugs and alcohol. And $150 on drugs and alcohol made the pain go away. Just for a while. Just for an hour, just for two. And that's why I can understand the power of drinking as escapism or drugs as escapism. Because escapism allows you to not think about it for a while. Football for escapism.
Yeah.
Because lots of people could tell you they do things that make them feel good and they justify they're really good for them, like sport or going to the gym. Like did you ever use the gym as like blowing off steam?
Oh, I hated the gym.
Yeah, there you go. Good.
But the footy field, like training and running and like the physicality.
Yeah,
the gym's just a bag. I never want to step foot in the gym.
Yeah. But you understand the distraction of something.
Yeah, that's what footy at times in my life's been, a complete distraction.
Yeah, just running laps or...
Well, that's why, like, I reflect on my career and, like, I had consistent effort. I didn't always have consistent performance, and I think it was based around mentality and things going on. Sometimes, for me anyway, like, dealing with stuff, I didn't deal with it well. Similar to you, mate. Like, I turned to the drink, especially 2018. I was speaking about that at length, but when Andy died suddenly, like, I just got on the piss.
Yeah, that was your coping mechanism, right?
Yeah, I always gave footy away. And we won a flag at the end of that year. We won a premiership. But halfway through the year, I was not come back to Perth to play footy.
Yeah, but that's that comment I mentioned before about you're really good at what you do, and probably weren't acting in the best version of yourself in that moment, right?
Yeah.
Like you just won a premiership, and you're feeling good. Everyone's like you're a legend. You get a premiership medallion, and you lose one of your best mates.
No, it was before that.
Was it before that?
Yeah, before that. So I was going to give it up before we won the flag.
Yeah, gotcha.
But that it's sort of the same chat in a way.
And I guess the difference is that what fulfills you. And I think fulfillment's a pretty big question when you're trying to rebuild yourself. And when the question you asked you before about rebuilding yourself, I think that is something that's quite powerful, like rebuilding a new avatar.
Yeah.
Like I look back at myself at 21 and 22 and why I recognize some parts of me still now. Like I don't ever want to forget how I felt about my dad. Because people often ask me, how'd you heal your broken heart then? Like how'd you go from rock bottom to suicidal and, pushing everyone who ever loved you to feeling hopeless and despair, all the shame that you mentioned, and then like doing what you do now. And I say, well, I never healed my broken heart. I still have one. But can you have a broken heart and still be brave? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can you have a broken heart and fall in love, chase your dreams, have some kids, be a good person? I just think they're not binary. And I think people feel like you have to feel really good to be good. Sometimes it's not that simple. It's not that easy. You can still remember some things that hurt you along the way and use them as actually great drivers to be a better version of yourself, which is that self-correction thing I mentioned.
Yes.
I was just picking self-punishment because pain is real and suffering is a choice. Like, think about it for your own life for a second. Your best mate dying, that heartbreak is real.
Yes.
Your dad dying, that heartbreak is real. So it's the difference between trauma and something traumatic. So every single person that you know in your life goes through traumatic experiences.
Yes.
Being bullied at work, not getting picked from the football team, not getting that promotion, not having as much money in your bank account than your mates. That stuff can be traumatic. But trauma is what you hold on to. It's the stuff that you hold on to and you're still thinking about years later. Can't open up to you. I can't trust you. People don't like me. I'm not smart enough. That's the stuff that we actually hold on to as people.
Yeah. When I reflect back on traumatic events, so my brother passed away from leukemia last year. I haven't quite got to speaking too much about that, but that was, I feel like we're doing a bloody trauma podcast, but that's something that's happened.
Traumatic, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I reflect on sort of each traumatic event in my mind, right? And this is different for everyone. Everyone has their own stuff. You do, I do, boys recording do.
Absolutely.
And I think about if I think about positives of them, the resounding thing is people. With Dad, I had a turning point. You spoke about turning point. I had a turning point with a guy called Bruce Willis. He was an SAS soldier. His name wasn't Bruce Willis. But mate, we went by Bruce Willis, right? He was still serving, so kind of had to give us a fake name, and he chose Bruce Willis, which is brilliant. But he
appropriate.
was, it was brilliant. Mate. Yeah, die hard. And he took me off one day, and he was just like, mate, you're a complete ghost. I can say you're walking around you 12 months later after that, I was still walking around the rooms, not talking to anyone, completely removed myself from that. And he told me a story around May about his service, and he was captain of a squad. Basically, they got called to a mission. He was in Sydney. They were in Perth. They took 2 helicopters. He was solo. Yeah. The rest of his team were on. As they both coming into wherever they were going, the team got shot down. All of them died instantly, and he was in this helicopter by himself. And the turning point for me was him sitting down with me and just giving his his experience and story.
Yeah.
And the turning point for me was like, right, everyone's got pretty fucked up stuff going on, and I was like too young to figure that out at the time. And I think about other things, and it's like you think about the people, and that's my experience anyway. And I know you're not an expert, and I don't think you claim to be like a trained expert. You're talking about your own experience, and in my experience, it's always people. That if you think about the positives and how you start to move on, or how you start to deal with it, or how you start to compose yourself, it's always people.
Absolutely.
I
reckon people change your posture. I'm talking about physical posture. I'm talking about how you see yourself. You know, they make you walk a little taller, hold your head a little higher. And I reckon what you're talking about is exactly what was my turning point too. Only for a glimmer. And just the glimmer was enough. Hanging out with a certain person made me feel good about myself for a while. And then I'd leave them and I'd feel shit for the week. And then I'd hang out with them again and I'd feel good again. Like, it was baby steps. And I think that a lot of people probably don't value the power of baby steps or doing little things well when you're trying to rebuild something. Lots of things is like do big gestures and change your life. And you know,
I'm gonna get up at 5 a.m. every morning.
I'm gonna do something so life changing. You know, like I'm gonna stop drinking, and it's like they do a full body transformation, right? But it's not actually that matters. It's the little things that you do that you can sustain and maintain, and you can do well. And when you look at yourself in the mirror, doing little things well and doing good things often have a powerful response in your brain. Like for me, it was as simple as looking at myself in the mirror and smiling and saying that you just still deserve love. It sounds pretty daft, seems pretty silly, but it was so hard to do, man, because how could I expect anyone else to love me when I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror and muster up the words and say, I love you yourself. And I used to have this thing I would say, would you date you? And do you like you? I didn't like myself, and I definitely wouldn't have dated myself. It's just a funny question to think about your life as a whole.
Yeah.
Would you actually date yourself? Like, do you have qualities that you enjoy? I'm like, no way. I'm broken. So I think when you can look at yourself differently, start to reinvent your avatar, spend time with great people, because the things that really helped me in life was understanding what actually creates happiness. And it's probably different to what I had thought it was. Keeping up with the Joneses comparison, men, success, status.
Yeah. Money, relationship, all that stuff.
Good job.
Yeah.
And that's probably where I kept falling short, trying to compare myself to that. That social norm was what a man looks like when I was a high school dropout, and the person I respected so highly, who was also very successful, by the way, is now dead. So high school dropout, the person I loved most, who was the most successful person I met, and in many measures was gone. And then you try and quantify what that means to be successful, but then realizing that success is just waking up in the morning and being in a really good mood, man. And a strong sense of self, knowing who you are. And that can be really difficult, especially in this modern world, trying to be a man.
Yeah.
See it all the time. And we'll talk about that next week in that session that we're doing. You'll see men are trying to redefine what it is to even be one, because the world's changed to what it was to be a man 30 years ago.
So with what you're doing with Happiness Co now, the Happiness Co Foundation, do you think without knowing exactly what you guys are doing, it sounds like you've used your life experience to try and help others up.
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm putting words in your mouth, but do you look back at things you've gone, things that worked, things that haven't worked? Is that what, how have you actually built what you're doing off the back of your own stuff?
So we're a preemptive mental health brand. So think about mental health being a traffic light system, red, orange, and green. Red being crisis care and clinical intervention. You'd know incredible organizations and counselors and therapists that specialize in that space. That's not us.
Yeah.
Why we appreciate it, why we work in it, and why we have people who come to us that are feeling these ways. That's not what we specialize in or we work in. Then you have the orange, awareness, stress and struggling. But the green is the preemptive stuff, which is working on yourself when you want to, not have to. Like working on being a good dad when your wife still wants to talk to you. Sorry, working on being a good husband when your wife still wants to talk to you. Working on being a good dad when your kids still like spending time with you.
Right. Not when it's red.
Yeah, being good at your job because you get to wake up and actually put some time and attention into it, rather than people saying you're underperforming and we don't think you should be here anymore.
Right.
That's something that we look at a lot. Like, what are some things that you can identify as things that might not be okay for you, and what's some stuff going on for you? And if you can get there quickly enough, you can save yourself a whole heap of heartbreak and pain. Divorce rate. Look at the divorce rate. It's freaking out of control, which is what I mentioned before. It's hard to love someone who becomes hard to love. So how can you start to self-correct some of these things? Lived experience is a big part of what we do, and why we definitely have trained specialists in our organization.
Yeah.
What I specialize in is just allowing people to understand their lived experience journey. No one knows your journey better than you. There's no better advice that you can get from your own advice that you can get from it. You know yourself so well.
Yeah.
And why some other people might be able to help you shape that. There's a part of you that's the key, because you can go to all the therapy in the world and never change.
Yeah.
You can go to the gym every single day and have a great rig and a good body and still not like yourself. You can have a heap of money in your bank account and still feel lonely. Like, how many metrics of success can you think of and someone's still sad and lonely on the other side of it?
Well, there's a lot, right? And I think that might be like what is confusing or challenging or hard for blokes is there's not like a pathway. So maybe therapy does work, or I see a psych once a week and I never miss it. One of the better things I do in my life.
Talk therapy.
It's a 1 hour session that I speak to someone that's not connected to anything. That, mate, sometimes it's like business, sometimes relationship, sometimes it's my mind, sometimes it's bloody politics. I don't know. Like it's literally, and as stupid as that sounds, like it's the highest priority of my week because that helps me.
Yeah.
But like you said, the person sitting next to me, or you right here, right, didn't work for you. And so that's what I think's confusing or hard for blokes is like there's not a pathway, especially if you're not in a good way.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many blokes are in a good way, and without knowing stats, I would say like that's probably declined over the last 5 years. Maybe it hasn't.
Well, and pathways can be different. I think with like therapy is like a hairdresser. You got to shop around. You got to find the one that works for you. And in therapy, it doesn't work for everyone. Like talk therapy is powerful, which is what you're talking about. Sometimes it's different things and different metrics and different things. And I think that's the key. Working out what works for you, but being willing to try.
Doing stuff.
Doing something.
Yeah.
Doing something, like whatever that may be. Hanging out with your mates.
Yeah.
But try and stay away from the distractions that are negative or the ones that actually lead you to feeling worse. So you have like these distractions that we all do: drugs, alcohol, phone, gambling, porn, work, gym, whatever distraction that you feel that you are doing that's taking you away from actually dealing with your stuff. And then find a way to have a positive distraction instead. Like a positive distraction is actually, I'm having a really bad week. I'm going to cook an amazing meal for my partner tonight and get our favorite wine. Just leave it at the door for a bit and actually just have the night being present with each other. It might be with your kids. It might be going out with your mates. It might be doing something you really love. Like there's so many things that you can do that's a positive distraction, but most people, especially most men, spend a lot of time in things that are negative distractions.
Yeah.
There's zero accountability and responsibility in gambling, but it feels good.
Yeah.
There's zero responsibility and accountability in drinking with your mates and getting, shit-faced, but it feels good. And that's the thing I talk about a lot. Like, why these things? And I love a drink and I love having a good time.
Yeah.
But I'll never drink when I'm sad. You'll never see me drink when I'm sad. And I get sad a lot. That's part of life. But I don't drink to take my sadness away anymore. And I think what are your boundaries? Like, what do you do to make sure that you keep yourself true to who you're trying to be? Because if you live your life, because there's two ways I kind of see success around men: driving a car that you love to a job that you hate.
Yep.
You get that one?
Yep.
Really cool. Look, my mates think my car's cool.
Yep.
But you're just miserable, man.
Yeah.
Like how did that even quantify success once upon a time? But it's still how we quantify it now.
Yeah.
And that could be a house, by the way. It doesn't have to be a car.
Yeah.
It could be a house. You got a nice house and everyone loves it, and you're like, I'm miserable as shit.
Yeah.
Because then you look at the stats. Suicide's the biggest killer of men under the age of 45 in the country. These are people who are successful men.
Correct.
These aren't men who are like rock bottom, got nothing going for them. These are people who have a lot going for them. Just like you and I.
Yeah, I think again, if I just sort of get some water into you, mate. I think from a point of the career transition. So again, looking at coming out of footy, going into business or whatever, athletes do. We interview athletes on here every week, right? So some are past, some are present, but all of my mates that I know that have come out of West Coast, I know lots of other guys across the leagues, lots of other mates, a lot of other clubs, almost to a man, they struggle for a period of time. And it's probably the identity element of it. And, sometimes it doesn't get to red stage, but, it's really hard because you sort of value yourself as a entity within an organisation, and for us it's in a footy club.
Yeah.
And you're doing something and you're the best in the country at something, and then it stops, and it stops immediately. Like there's a few guys going to coaching, but most it's just a cliff. It's like, oh,
straight off
shit. So I always thought I studied while I was playing. I studied law while I was playing. I worked hard. I tried to do other things, but what I always used to speak about was like it's a bizarre concept as an athlete that you're best in the country at something, yet you're studying. I'm studying law.
Yeah.
Like, mate, the best plumber in the country isn't studying to be a doctor at the same time.
I know.
And the the best policeman in the country isn't trying to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
So it's like a bizarre concept, and then you get to the end of the thing. It's like, oh, you should have prepared for your life after footy. It's like, well, I was trying to fucking succeed in my life in footy.
Just trying to own this one bit.
Yeah. And then, it's such a brutal end that, and yep, I've transitioned, but I've found so many elements brutally hard, and it's the mental element.
Well, let's score the three things that actually create fulfillment and happiness in someone's life then. And you put that blanket across footy. Ready? Number one, a strong sense of self. Number two, meaningful connection. And number three, contribution. How would you score them three things inside a footy club?
High. Like very high.
Because you know who you are, because you're around a bunch of people who you excel around.
You know what you're doing.
You have that instant feedback.
Win a premiership cup. That's what you're there for.
Yeah, that's your identity.
Yeah.
You're a footy player, and you're pretty much, how much of your time would have been spent with them same group of people?
Well, at the time you don't actually know, but like it's a lot more than regular life with regular people. Like it's like, you're spending pretty much every day 9 to 5, but longer usually. You're going out to dinner with them. On the weekends, you're going out with that crew. It's like a, I don't know what it is.
And that's all
a cult.
Yeah, but it's a bubble, isn't it?
Yeah,
like, Brad,
absolutely.
Brad Ainsworth, right? He talks about a lot. It was like for 6 years of his young life, that was his biggest bubble, and it was gone. It just popped.
You don't realise it though. That's the thing. You actually, and maybe that to people that struggling to empathise with an elite athlete, like it's probably the same. It's just actually a little bit different than a job.
It is.
It's a bit different.
But you get why it makes people feel pretty good when they're there, if you're doing it well.
Yeah.
I'm not saying for the people who don't struggle, because I know there's a lot of people who struggle inside footy clubs.
Yeah.
And for the people who find the one thing I just mentioned, it gave them a strong sense of self. Some people it does not. Some people, they fall away and they feel like they don't belong, and they don't. And these are some, I'm guarantee you'd know some players that you just didn't think were going well there.
Yeah.
They didn't feel like they were a better version of themselves there. And they're probably the ones that fell away from the clique.
Yeah.
Because then what you can't get is meaningful connection.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know who you are, it's very hard to bond with people.
Yeah.
Because then you end up bonding with people for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Which is where I spent a lot of my life, trying to fit in and just hope it would work. And realizing that when I was around people, it actually made me feel worse.
That's probably where the happiness thing come back into it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So then trying to find that again with myself, and then realize, man, like you actually find good people around you. Because then the last bit was contribution. You guys contributed to each other every single day as a footy team to win a premiership.
And it's measurable.
Measurable.
Yeah.
So that's where I see a lot of people struggle. And it's why it's so easy and clear to unpack, but so complex in application. Most people in life struggle with a strong sense of self. Who they are, what they stand for, what their values are, what they like, who they like.
So, if I'm listening along, I'm probably going, yeah, you're right, Jules. But how do I find that? And is that the $1 million question?
Absolutely.
Is that what I do?
But when was the last time you tried though to work out what they like? Think about what some things that you did that you liked doing when you were growing up that you don't do anymore.
Oh yeah, reading books. Massive reader, and now I'm like kids running around.
Some of the success leaves clues.
Yeah.
In your life, like you like reading books. That's it. Like so, you like doing it. It made you feel good. That's it. That clue led you to some success, and you stopped doing it, but you loved it.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of things that people like doing that they stopped doing. And what justification will you give me for stopping reading?
Well, you just heard it. Kids running them up. But I don't know, I'm too tired.
Yeah.
But that's bullshit. Oh, we know that's bullshit.
Yeah. You're a professional athlete. You made time for lots of things, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
If you want to read, you just read.
Yeah.
Just put your phone down for 10 minutes and read five
Anything
pages.
else that you did when you liked doing that made you feel good?
Like running fast. I'm big into athletics,
and
it's something I think about a lot. Is I'd like to be able to, and as a footy player, you're not really running. Like you put a lot of weight on, trying to be strong while running. Yeah. But like I was skinny growing up, and not that I want to be skinny again. I don't really care about that. But I would like to. Yeah. I see people. I'll go for a jog now, and someone will come sizzling past me. Got the night like arrows on, just like bounding past. I'm like, I want that again. That's one thing.
But ask your mates though. If you have a mate who's not doing so well, I reckon that would be a loss of identity somewhere, and you probably find they don't have anything they do for themselves. Because I've definitely gone through that journey. Have you? Like when you feel guilty about doing stuff for you?
Oh shit!
Your kids and
I'm still there.
Yeah, it's hard, man.
Yeah.
I feel it now. I travel so much for work.
Yeah,
like a lot for what I do.
Yeah, and
then sometimes I feel guilty about wanting to do something for me because I've already been away.
So that's what I was trying to ask before. So you're on a happiness co, right? Yeah. And you're speaking holistically around happiness and find happiness and stuff. But then, do you ever feel like you live in a juxtaposition? Because I do sometimes when I do some of these mental health chats, it's like, I go and find someone to talk to, and then I think about myself, and I'm like, fucking miserable at the moment, and I'm not talking to anyone, and I'm not hanging out with mates. Yeah. But I'm telling other people to do that. Yeah. Do you ever get like that?
I think sometimes you can always be like that. Like, there's no perfect antidote, is there?
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing but I think that there's something measurable about one thing, which is like happiness doesn't come from what you do, it comes from who you are. I think it's trying to make sure who you are is on point. And even when you don't feel like doing something, you still listen to your partner. Even when you don't feel like hanging out with your kids, you do it. Even when you don't feel like checking in with your mates, you still find a way to. Like it's that forcing yourself to still do things that you know that make you a good person when you don't feel like being a good person. Because sometimes you don't feel like being a good person. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I can't be bothered helping people today because I got shit going on. I got stuff going on and I feel like I don't want to be the Happiness Co guy today.
Yeah, you'd have to get like that.
Absolutely, man. And that's part of the gig. Yeah. Like sometimes you don't want to be the Happiness Co guy, which is the guy that everyone thinks is helping people and he's a top fella and, he's making people's lives a little better and he has to be that to your team, you have to be that to your family, you have to be that to your friends. But that's only one part of it. Like Happiness Co is what I do, it's not who I am. It's just a part of my life, as footy was a part of yours.
Yeah.
But I think there definitely is something in how you feel about yourself. And only you know that. And do you know how one of the best ways to measure that? Well, I measure it, is doing the things that you do when no one's watching. To me, that's how you measure it.
Right.
Because
Give me an example.
Well, how you talk about people when there's no one else around. Well, that would decide if you're a shit bloke or not.
Yeah.
Because you might be nice in front of everyone else.
I like that a lot.
Makes sense, but you're always talking shit about people.
Yeah, I don't like the talking shit behind people's back.
Don't you reckon that's a big one though?
Yeah.
People do it all the time.
That's bred for me personally from seeing like the other end of it.
You've been on the receiving end of that?
Oh, mate, I feel like I've got pretty thick skin. Less me and more like seeing, more celebrity status footy players I played with, not naming them, but like guys that, the big A graders. And either be rumours or shit going on socials or you see it all the time now. And it's like, well, that starts because, especially when they're false, if it's true, well, it's a true story. It's like,
Yeah.
But if it's false, it's like, well, how'd that start? Well, it's someone talking shit. So,
but how much do you dislike that?
It's right up there with things. Yeah. I call it out regularly.
Yeah.
You hear it all the time. People, you'll be working or at home. Your missus, like if I hear something from my wife, Alex, she won't mind me saying this. Yeah. If she says, such and such said this, so that's true. She's like, oh no, but I said no, do not repeat that to me until I don't know if that's true or not.
I think your partner and my partner mate would get along well because I'm the same on that. Yeah. I'm like, what? Like if you're gonna say something, make sure it's true. Number one, and don't do it with the menace of being unkind. And I think that comes. I wonder where yours came from because mine came from being bullied at school. Because I'm like, I didn't even do anything wrong. I just couldn't read. I actually wasn't being a shit person. Like I was just struggling to read and I was called dumb. And people laughed at me.
I'm not laughing at you.
But you get it. You get it.
Yeah, correct.
But I'm like, people don't like me and they're teasing me and talking shit about me because I can't read. That's so unfair.
Yeah.
So now when I see it, I'm like, you know what? What gives you the right will to talk shit about someone else just because they're having a bad day or they can't do something well or just because you don't like them?
The fairness element, right?
Where's the fairness? It's like, where did that come to you? Where was that like, I don't like people talking shit?
Yeah.
Did your dad teach you that, your mum?
No, I think it probably was bred, well, it's probably a bit of both actually. Probably a bit of mum and dad. Yeah.
Well, I think you're a pretty genuine fella in all my interactions with you. So I think a great thing for the guys listening, you just said before, check how much you talk shit about people when they're not around. Let that be a measuring stick of why you're miserable. Because unhappy people don't spend lots of time talking shit about other people.
Yeah.
Because they actually want to cheer their mom and be their biggest cheerleader and actually say, hey, did you hear what happened with Will? How good that? He got that thing at Fox Footy or he got that Momo, his podcast, BackChat's doing really well. Legend, he deserves it. You actually want your mates talking really nice things about you when you're not around. That is the greatest version of your impact on people's life, I reckon, is how they talk about you when you're not in the room.
That's an interesting concept.
Don't you reckon?
Yeah.
Am I still saying the nice things about you when you're not around, Will, or I'm just saying it when you're in my face?
Yeah, and adding to that, if you're talking about me, what am I? Sometimes you get caught up with thinking about that too. And it's something I've sort of probably learnt this year a lot is trying to really, not that I don't care what people think, but like we're in a very public environment here with what we do, right? It's content, having opinions on things, and that's TV and radio and in here. And it's very easy to get caught up with, this person disagrees or this person agrees or this person hates you or loves you or whatever it is. I've tried my best this year to not take that on board about, what people think. Yeah. And I'm probably at the extreme of putting that in, regular Joe doesn't have to do all this bullshit on socials and podcasts and stuff. Doesn't get the feedback that I do.
Yeah.
So I'm probably a good leveler of, okay, can you ignore it? And I try. Doesn't always work. It certainly doesn't always work.
But
worrying about what people think about what I'm saying or what thinking about me. Or
that's even another. That's so much harder than that's so difficult. Being open to public opinion and scrutiny all the time.
Oh yeah,
like that's hard. People just saying crap because they feel like they can.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that's the reason why you talk shit about other people. If it is, work on that. So that's what I was talking about before. Like when you're doing things when no one's watching, I think that's such a great way to work out where you are and where you stand.
Yeah.
Like if you wind down your window when you're driving and you throw litter out the window, well, what's that saying about you?
Yeah.
These things, these little things, are you being deceitful all the time? Like telling your wife that, you're not gambling, but when you've got a side kitty, like where's the integrity part? Because I feel like you either have it or you don't.
So to put a bit of a bow on this, again, and this is the way my mind works is, okay, well, how do I help myself? Or how do I, I always look for practical things.
Yeah,
it's and we're promoting today at least, just having conversations. And like I said, we didn't really have a run sheet here. And I reckon it's been good yarns. But for me, it's okay, cool. What can we do about it? So if that you might say could be something, right? I don't know. It could be the psychotherapy, but it could be what you guys do with the proactive stuff. I don't know.
Huge stuff. So seeking help comes in, I reckon, 3 things. So this would be for people who want to encourage, because if you want to change, that's the first part.
Yeah.
You will never change something that you're not willing to accept. So if your wife tells you that you don't listen when she's talking to you and you deny that, you'll never change.
Yeah.
If your kids say, Dad, you're never present and you don't play with us and you deny that because you're always busy, you'll never change. So you got to want to change. And I guess the first part of that is what's it costing you not to? And that's what I recognize. This is what the lived experience part is important. Yeah. What it was costing me not to change was everything I cared about.
It's pretty much your life.
Literally. So I was upset. I spent all my life focusing on the one person that I lost. But in the process of that, I was losing everyone else who ever loved me. And that's costing you so much because that's became my life. It became my avatar. It's all I thought about. But all the other people in your life matter too. So I think the question is, what's it costing you is a great question. And be real with it though. And just put it on a piece of paper, type it into your phone, whatever, and just be real with yourself. Because if you can ask that question and get true with yourself and just answer it properly and truly, you'll see some things, which then will allow you to do the 3 things that I think are important. Seeking help is seeking professional help, seeking help from friends and family, or seeking help through other means like podcasts or, online or blogs. Because a lot of people think what they're going through is they're the only person that may be going through it.
Yeah.
And might be the only person feeling that way. There's probably not one thing that you're feeling that someone's not talking about online somewhere.
It's almost guaranteed.
Literally. Guaranteed.
It doesn't feel like that though.
Nah.
When you're in a bad space.
Absolutely. Especially the stuff that brings high levels of shame. So if you're feeling high levels of shame and that's why you can't find the courage to walk into a counsellor and a therapist to say, this is what I'm doing, or then you can't talk to your family and friends about it because there's so much shame, that's why the internet is actually a really powerful tool. With the intention of going on there and finding other people or other stories that might allow you to realize that you're not alone. People have fixed it. People have improved it. And there's always hope to make something better. And then that might lead to you going to number 1.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking, right?
Yeah.
It's like a stepping stone to going and speaking to someone, read something, speak to someone.
Well, it's like momentum thinking.
Yeah.
Momentum is a funny thing. Like think about your career in footy. Sometimes momentum is so good, the ball just bounces in your lap.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's so bad, it bounces over your head. And you're like, momentum to me is like the more you start reading and finding out more about yourself, like something like online that might allow you to realize that you're not alone.
Yeah.
Then it allows you to have momentum to say, you know what? And this is the truth though. You might jump in the car, book the appointment, drive to the appointment and get into the car park and still not go in.
I've done that, by the way. Done exactly that.
Great share though.
Yeah.
But then next week, maybe you do the same thing, you get to the door and you don't go in. And then the week after, you get to the car park, you get to the door, you get to the waiting room, you don't go in. But if you keep trying, you'll get in. And then you might say 2 words. And just being really kind and forgiving in the process. Because that was definitely the journey I talked about. Like I was trying so hard to get off drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
And
you're probably brutal on yourself though. Like, why can't I do this? Like,
yeah. Why can't I failed again? Or then I told people I wouldn't drink and I had 2 stubbies. Yeah. And it's like this toxic cycle, right? But the momentum stuff was like, you know what? You're going to make mistakes. You're going to get it wrong. Just remember to keep trying. So that's that first one. Seeking professional help doesn't make you weak, doesn't make you broken. Like you just talked about before. Yeah. You weren't even going there because you were broken. Nah. It's just someone to just unpack the weeds.
Yeah. Well, just like for full transparency, like I went because I was feeling broken.
At the time?
Yeah, absolutely. It was around my brother. Yep. It was around all this shit, everything we're talking about now. And I've been severely unhappy at times, especially my post-footy career. So that's in the last 3 years, right? Yep. Like, and that's why I started. Yeah. And how did I start? AFLPA is pretty good.
They suggested?
Well, I just, we sat through that many times sitting there and they'd bang on about mental health and talking to people, the same as this, like. Yeah. And I'd sit there as a happy 25-year-old, yeah, whatever. And then we got to the point where I was like, okay, right, not going well here. I texted someone, I was like, hey, does someone, can I talk to someone? It's actually Danny Southern, who, I'm not sure if he's still the man in the role. And like, ironically, people who are West Coast fans like Danny Southern have one of the great on-field dust-ups with Peter Sumich, right?
Yeah.
And we've had Danny on the podcast, mate, changed man, brilliant bloke. And yeah, I just texted him. He was the first person. I was like, mate, literally not going well here. That was before I spoke to my wife, anyone. He was like, sweet, let's get you, mate, thanks for reaching out. Let's fucking get you in touch with someone. And I reckon I went to about 5 different people and then
found the sweet spot.
The person I'm with now is fucking awesome. But like, yeah, just for people who are listening, like sometimes like you can hear your story and it's like pretty hectic, to be honest. And same with mine, it'd be hectic. And we're both, doing business now. And sometimes it sort of seems like it's the experience is like here. Like, mate, I would say I feel very normal. I don't feel like someone that's been on a pedestal my whole life, which at times I have been. Yeah. But like I feel very normal. I feel the issues that I have, like I've struggled heavily. But the thing that's helped me is, people, so I come back to, just people. Could be a psych, but it could be your mum. Could be your partner. Could be your mate. Could be, random people, bumping into random people. That's how I come back to it. It's like people. Yeah. Because as soon as you lose connection to people, I think that for me is when I've been at my worst. Is like when I'm losing the connection and I'm losing the ability to speak with people. Like that's.
And you probably see this a lot when you think about people is that they actually isolate.
Yeah.
So there'd be a lot of people. Like this circle of isolation, but people are the greatest thing to help you pull out of it. It's like quicksand. Yeah. And if you could, you allow people in. And I think about letting people in is like the best way of letting them help you by letting them in. Mm. Because how can someone love you if you don't let them as well? So like, I need your help is such a powerful tool. Mm. And I think being broken and just breaking down the stigma of being broken is so important. That being broken doesn't make you less than. Mm. Like it just makes this a part of your life that's not working for you. Yeah. It's but people are quantify their whole life, and we see it a lot. I'm so unhappy. Mm. My whole life is unhappy, and I'm like, your whole life, not one thing good in it.
My
kids.
I love my partner. Yeah.
So this is what we love to catastrophize our stuff.
Yeah,
and that's why talking to someone's really helpful because they can just call you out in your own bullshit. Because sometimes it's really hard to call yourself out on it. If you're good at calling yourself out in your own bullshit, you actually probably find that you're a few steps ahead of this.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's probably rare though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very rare because people love this narrative they talk about, which is seeking help and being broken. Why that might seem so catastrophic in the moment. There's so many good people around you to help you want to rebuild that and heal that and move forward because of that. Yeah. And that's what I say about like my life. Like, and you would say the same about yours. Like it doesn't change that I was a high school dropout. It doesn't change that I lost my dad to suicide. It doesn't change all the battles I went through. It just allows you to have a different perspective and how you see things. Yeah. If you can change the way you look at something, what you look at changes. Like people often ask me, like, would you give it all up to have your dad back? That's an interesting question.
Yep.
Would you? Footy, premiership medallion? Like
probably.
Yeah.
Now that I'm removed from it, like,
at the time it feels like it is your identity, but realistically, like if you don't have that, but you have your old man around, you're just doing something else. You know? Like, I don't know.
It's a hard question though. Like, would you give up all your success to have your dad back?
It'd be a yes for me.
You?
I don't know.
And mine would be a no. Interesting.
That's interesting. Why?
Why? So I'm like, look at all the good that we've done because of it. It's bittersweet. Because if he was still here, I reckon I'd be half the man I was today. If I had the dad I wanted, I probably wouldn't be the man I'm proud to be. Because he, in that moment of loss, he turned me into something different. In the time for the worst, but on the back on that, a better person, a better dad, a better friend, someone who wants to do good. I didn't really have much interest in doing good in the world before my dad died. I didn't even know what I was doing. I couldn't read. So, but he literally lit some fire in me, which is that thing about turning your pain into your purpose or your sadness into your strength. Like you can come from some really shit beginnings and still turn out to be a freaking fabulous person.
Yeah.
Like that's the key. Like it's not what happens to you. It's about the person you decide to become. So I think for anyone listening, regardless of what it is, if it's your career, your finances, your relationships, whatever it is that you're going through, know that you can still do something good with it afterwards. So for me, I'm like, I would love to have my dad back, but we've done really good things because he was gone. And it's accepting that, not feeling guilty about that, and knowing that you make mistakes. And, you know, if you ask my brother and sister, I would say something different.
Yeah, well, I actually think that me saying that I would actually come from the same spot because I kind of look at everything I've done since Dad passed away. And I, you know, although it's been great, I don't think, you know, if I had to give it all back, my life would, you know,
Be better.
Yeah, it'd be better or worse. Yeah. Like I think we're coming at it from the same point.
Same angle, right?
Yeah. Like you're going like, yeah, this Dad doesn't pass away, then, you know, you don't get to do what you do. I'm like, well, if Dad doesn't pass away and I had to give back everything I've done, I'm probably okay with that. Yeah. And yeah.
And it's the really reason I mention it is because I think a lot of people suffer because they hold on to the past. Fair?
Yeah.
People, things, environments, what they had before, who they were before. And they spend so much time looking through the rearview mirror. They actually spend so little time looking at what's next. And there's so much ahead of you. And I only share it because of what we just talked about. If I was spending all my time thinking about what happened with my dad, I'd lose all the joy that's right in front of me.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take away the past. It doesn't take away the pain. It doesn't make it all okay. You can't get do-overs, but you do get to decide to do something better with your life if you choose to. And that's why I think the power of a choice matters. Like you have no obligation to be the person that you were yesterday. Like you were a football player for a long time.
Yep.
You have no obligation to be that version of Will Schofield anymore. You just get to wake up and decide who you want to be tomorrow. Yeah. And I reckon that's super refreshing though. Yeah. Like to know that, you know what? I'm just going to change my whole narrative.
You learn that with time though, right?
You do.
You don't know that when you're young.
You don't.
I reckon I've only just figured that out last couple of years. Is like you can you know, you can have really bad shit happen and that happens, but you can also continue. Like you don't, you know, really the choice is actually yours.
Yeah.
Like it is actually up to you. Not being too brutal about it, but like you said, if you want to change something, like you can actually change something, and that's not being all lovey-dovey and being like, oh, you will something into existence, and if you want to be the president of the United States, you can be. Like you probably can't, especially if you're Australian. But if you want something, and if what you want is change, you can definitely do that.
I remember one of my greatest mentors when I was young said to me the same thing: pain is real and suffering's a choice. And I was unsure about that at the time because I'm like, you're saying all the things that are happening to me are because I'm choosing to. He's like, well, is your dad making you do drugs? Is he making you drink alcohol? Is he making you not talk to your family?
That's all you.
Yeah, that's jarring though when you have to take responsibility. Yeah. Someone holds the mirror up.
Yeah.
But then he said to me something that I thought was quite cool, and I'll never forget it. He goes, if you're so unhappy, move. You're not a tree. Because only trees are stuck. And I was like, that's true though. They are stuck, and you're not stuck where you are, but we act like we are.
Yeah.
And I think it's something it's never been lost on me. You know, when we complain about our lives and our circumstances, our situations that we're in, well, you can always move. You know, people who complain about their jobs, well, you don't have to go. You can find a new one.
Yes.
You could be miserable in marriage. You could fix your marriage, or you could find a new one. And I know that sounds easy in theory, but the point is that you always have the power of change.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, not trying to be brutal about it and being like, well, it's up to you. But it sort of is. And the outcome isn't. Like, you know, whether or not you can fix it but to choose to do it is your decision, or to choose to change something, or to choose to learn how to do something, or to choose to learn. Like they're all choices you can make.
Absolutely. And this is, I think, the power of choice. Everyone would love to hear it. When was something that really bad happened in your life that you didn't want that actually turned out to work out to be better? Like it actually worked out to be better than what you thought you currently had. You got an example of that?
Well, so when I came out of footy, I started a digital marketing agency, and it was great. And it was in COVID, so like everyone was trying to do what we were doing. It was awesome, but it was brutal and like cooked me mentally. I was running 10 different businesses, basically running everything. Yeah. So I finished that up, and my business partner took that on. He's still running that. Shout out Mumba Digital, still sponsoring BackChat. But
good plug.
Yeah, correct. But I kind of was doing that because I'd sort of fallen into it, and it was too much for me. And I was like, I really want to do media. And so that experience, like it completely cooked me mentally, and I was in a bad way. But I started doing BackChat again. Yeah. We put it on pause for 3 years, and I was like, I just want to talk about footy for a bit. So me and Dan sitting in a shitty room with a couple of mics, started up again, like 20 people were listening. And then we're here now. So the bad experience was cooking myself mentally with this business, but this has started.
Yeah, but that discomfort made sure you pursued something different.
Yeah.
Which is that's the power in it though. Like it's like, wow, it actually helped me realize what I really want.
Yeah.
Sometimes the things
that you don't want.
Exactly. Sometimes the people who treat you poorly are the ones that show you that there's people out there who treat you better. Sometimes the jobs that make you feel less than, it just shows you that there's a job out there that's going to treat you way better than how you feel right now. And I think that's just a good perspective to have as well. That there's sometimes things don't work out. Like you might go through a breakup, and I know breakup is a big reason for mental health challenges for men. Massive in terms of the role of falling into despair and hopelessness, like a divorce or a severe breakup when you have kids.
Yeah.
So that's the circumstance. Got kids, got a wife, break up, my life's changed. But there's a lot of great stories and cases out there how men went on to be happier in love that they were in their first marriage. And that's not to take away the power of the first marriage. It's to recognize that you can still find a way forward even when things like catastrophic or heartbreaking happen.
Yeah.
And I think it's always something to hold on to, that there's always something to move forward to.
Yeah. The kid element with that is the heavy part, right? You'd have friends that have been through that, and we have too. And it's brutal. And brutal for the mum or the wife and the lady, and it's brutal for I just think it's brutal for everyone involved, that sort of stuff.
So hard with the kids, so hard. But I've got a stepson. He's 9. Oh, he's 10, sorry. And it was really hard at the start, but now it's actually really awesome. When you get the dynamics down, it's really hard for everyone at the time. But then it gets to a place when you're like, if you asked him, he's pretty grateful because he gets 2 dads, 2 homes, 2 different experiences. And at the start, it wasn't like that.
No.
So what could you still create that still seems awesome out of something so heartbreaking? Because divorce and heartbreak is never good for anyone.
Yes.
And the kids often are the ones who suffer the most in that experience because of the dynamics, but then you can still build them something awesome.
Yeah.
So having an incredible home for him to come home to is such a great thing to do.
Yeah.
And now he sees that though. He's actually like, well, I've got 2, well, I'll never be his dad. He has an incredible dad, and his dad in that role is so important to him, but he has like another dad, like kind of best mate dad.
Yeah.
That's kind of there to play a different role.
Yeah.
Different mentor. So there's always something that you can turn from something bad into something good if you try and find it. And I think that's the key. Doesn't matter how bad something may seem at the time.
Yeah.
There's always something good in it if you look for it.
If we'll keep talking all day, let's wrap this up. Give us a final message. And what I actually, before you do, what I've really appreciated about today, I think sometimes with these sort of chats, we can get a bit into, well, this is what I do and this is what we do. And you're running a great organisation, Happiness Co, and a lot of great things. But I don't think, and I don't think we will, you're going to be on Monday and Friday show as well, but I don't think we need to go into, well, this is how brilliant we are, and this is all the stuff we do. And I see it a lot, and you have to talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
But this has been good. We're just chatting. Right? Chat. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Just having a chat.
Yeah.
Rather than, some bullshit where you're telling me how good you are, right?
No one really cares.
You're good. You are good, mate.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. But no one really cares how good you are at anything, right?
No, it's real. This is real. And it's been good that it's been real.
Yeah.
But give me a final, I don't know, give me a final something. I don't know if it's a takeaway, if it's a learning, if it's a message that you want to finish up the pod on. I know it's broad.
I would just think about the thing that I would say to most people, regardless of where they are in their life, is, and me included, if you want a meaningful life, you have to have meaningful problems. So find out what they are. Your friends that are meaningful to you, the people that you love dearly, the things that bring you passion and joy, and make them your problems because they're meaningful, and fight hard for them. Like, hold on to them dearly, your kids. And every problem that ever comes because of them, know that you're fighting to be a good dad. Like, that's something worth fighting for.
Yes.
And I think for every man listening, find that. And if you don't like fighting for something anymore, find something new. Like, if that's moving on from friendship circles or job or whatever it may be, find something new to fight for that brings you a heap of joy and a heap of sense of purpose and being proud of who you are. So meaningful problems, meaningful life. I reckon the worst times of my life, man, when I had problems that were petty. Like petty problems, petty life. So just find out what are things that you may be like looking down on and where you could look up instead. And then this may sound cliche, but it's something that has helped me time and time and time again. And it's something I ask myself all the time. And it's probably because of loss that I've asked it, but I think it's important. Are you living the way you'd like to be remembered? Because your dad was gone in a second. And my dad was too. And it's probably that's what it taught me. Tomorrow is never promised. So are you living, and that doesn't mean you're going to get every single moment of your life right, but generally across your week, are you being that person that you would like to be? And if you're not, don't beat yourself up about it. Just start to make some changes. That's all it is. So I guess that would be the takeaway. Ask the question.
That's a good takeaway.
Powerful though, hey?
That's a good one. It's a bit morbid, but I think that at funerals, I've been to too many funerals, but I am intently aware of funeral. All the funerals, I'm like hyper focused, and it's like, I think about my brother's funeral, right? And it's like you see how he's remembered. Is that what you just said? And you think about it, like it's morbid because I'm like, well, what would my funeral look like? Exactly. But that's kind of what you're asking, right?
But I think the best part about it is, but you're asking it every day. So you have this radical power to start to improve it. Like, was I the dad I wanted to be remembered last week? Well, I couldn't have been because I was away half of it. So then when I'm tonight, I'm going trick-or-treating with the kids, and that's all I'm doing. So it makes your life in miniature moments.
Yes.
Was I acting as the dad I wanted to be last week? Well, it would be impossible because the dad I want to be wouldn't be in a hotel room somewhere else. So it doesn't make that a bad dad. It doesn't make it not a good dad. It just makes it not the dad I want to be. So when I get the chance to be the dad I want to be, you go all in on it. And that's the process of the gamble. It's about knowing that. I think you talked about legacy just then with your brother.
Yeah.
Which leads to this. Legacy is not what you leave behind, it's what you leave in people. And I think that's also how you can measure it. How you talk about people when they're not around, how you talk about yourself, how you show up when you know you're getting things wrong, how you call yourself out in your own BS. It's like, it's so sad that we wait till someone's end or we lose someone or care. And I know we've all heard it so cliche, but if you could ask yourself that question every day, I guarantee you would start to make some micro improvements.
It's good. That's us. That's a good way to finish. Julian Pace, the champion walker.
Bring me back.
Happiness Co extraordinaire, mate. They're doing brilliant things in the community. I'll just encourage people, without running a rap sheet, go and check you guys out. And don't let me do the ad for you, but like finding happiness, having conversations, proactive, the green area of mental health. Like, how do you make yourself better when, while you can?
Yeah.
Right?
Get to, not have to, mate.
It's been brilliant, mate. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Paywise, ID Athletic, Whippersnapper Whiskey, Mama Digital, Tab Touch, Shelter Brewing Co., Leadable Precinct, West End Plumbing, and I think they're all there. There's a few of them. You can add yourself to it as well. Happiness Co., I'm going to chuck them in there as well. BackChatPodcast.com.au. Hopefully you enjoyed the change of conversation. I enjoyed the chat. Did you have fun?
I had a great time, mate. It was really cool.
Good man. Thank you.